Hey guys, we're just going to start here in a few minutes. All right, I am so excited to be here tonight. I was just waiting for people on the call. Hold on 1 second to make sure we're not having any errors here. All right, I'm making sure that I am live and that you guys can see me because it is easy to have some tech difficulties. So you guys, tonight we are doing Banish Binges, and I'm really honored and excited to have you guys here tonight because this topic is very near and dear to me because I suffered with binges for a very long time. And I'm going to tell you more about my personal story than if you've been following me for a long time. If you're a client, I'm not sure exactly who's on the call, but just to let you know, I'm just looking over because I want to make sure my team is texting me and I'm like, am I on? Am I good? So hi guys, welcome to Banish Binges. I'm Melissa Catherine, your host of the MK Show, and this is Healthy Happy Hour. What we are going to cover tonight is getting out of the all or nothing mentality, the 3 shifts that you need to know to get out of the all or nothing mentality, as well as mindful eating, and what I really think is the #1 most important thing, which is how to recover from a binge without beating yourself up and how to stop that negative chatter in its tracks. Because that's the very one thing that can derail you for weeks on end. And well, just to be, I mean, the negative chatter in and of itself is the one thing that will make you feel worse than the food does or the weight does or anything else, because you're beating yourself up. And nothing feels worse than actually disconnecting from yourself and turning your own back on yourself, which is what we do each day when we don't look at ourselves in the mirror, when we wake up and negatively critique ourselves, when we beat ourselves up for the calories from the night before. So those are the things that we're going to address tonight. So for those of you that don't know me, I wanted to tell you a little bit about my story and about who I am. And I just want to say again, thank you for taking tonight for you. I know that this topic is one that we can have a lot of guilt and shame around, and I know that it's not easy to carve out the time. And in doing so, that means you're making yourself a priority, and that means that you're ready to change, and that you're wanting to change. And that desire alone puts you light years ahead of where you've been in the past. So honor yourself for that. And I honor you for that very much. So, and I'm honored that you chose me to help you with this. So as somebody that has gotten to the other side, I just want to tell you a little bit about who I am. My name's Melissa Catherine. I am a certified holistic nutritionist, hypnotherapist, and a transformational coach for women. I've coached hundreds of women around the world. Aside from that, though, what I've really done is I've transformed women's lives. I've helped them get to the other side of emotional eating. I've helped them release the chains of yo-yo dieting and get out of the dieter's mindset and that mentality, that imprisonment that keeps us stuck. And aside from anything else and from being seen in this or that, it's not about that for me. It's about freeing women to really thrive in life and to see how beautiful they truly are, and to have your self-worth defined by you and not by seeking approval from anything outside of yourself, anyone outside of yourself, and from really understanding why you're turning to food and what's missing for you in your life and for the way that you see yourself. And it doesn't take long, and it doesn't need to feel hard. It's actually super exciting and empowering to get to the other side of this. My story started when I was 10 years old. And I didn't like what I saw. I was introduced as being big boned by my mom, and I love her and bless her heart. But she had an idea of what I should look like. And that idea made me think there was something wrong with me. And, you know, I talk about this often. And one of the things that I work on with my clients is, what's your story? What's that story that you created that has now defined you in your life, negative and positive? And a negative one for me was my weight. My weight was my struggle. My weight made me less than, my thunder thighs, my bigger butt. And I really, I looked outside of myself for approval for a really long time. I am a recovering perfectionist. I'm still working on it. The idea of judgment outside, being judged by others, was very hard for me because I was such a harsh critic of myself. Probably the worst critic that you can possibly think of. So anytime somebody would say negative, I'm like, oh, I could top what you're saying, so I don't even need to take on the criticism anymore. So that really took me well into after college. And it was really after college that I went into the dieter's mentality, because I went on the very diet that when I was 12 years old, I was brought to Weight Watchers. I was seated in a circle. And, you know, this is when they had those in-person meetings. And many of you might have heard this story, but it really, I want you guys to hear that there was nothing wrong with me. I was never more than 10, 12 pounds overweight. I was brought to this meeting and I'm looking around, I'm going, what is wrong with me? Why am I here? Am I fat? And I'm listening to people talking about, and I didn't know at 12, I'm like, you know, you're in that stage of fat. You just wanted to look like your friends. And I had curves, and I do have, you know, I have a more muscular build. I love it. But at the time, you know, I just wanted to look like my friends and be a size 0. And that's what goes on. And I started to think there was something wrong with me and that I was different. And I look back, like many, you know, I talk to many of you on the phone. It's like, I look at myself before and I'm going, there was nothing wrong with me. Like, if I looked like that, I would run around naked. What was I thinking? But I didn't see myself that way, right? I saw myself as 20 pounds heavier. Something was always wrong with me. I was never present. I was always looking to the future. And when I got into that dieter's mentality, I then went into size 2, size 0 mode. And to stay there, I had to eat air and work out like a maniac. And I had a lot of rigidity in my life and not much fun, but I looked good by my standards at the time. Meanwhile, I look back and I'm like, that just was so not healthy and it was not fun. And I actually missed out on living life and a lot of joy because I was so caught up in what I would look like, and what I did look like. Fast forward, when I realized I really wanted to get to the other side of this, I had gone back to school for holistic nutrition, got certified. I was a personal trainer. I competed. And it wasn't until my fitness competition when I won Best Body that I stood on stage and I inevitably gained the weight back 6 months later. Can you imagine transforming your entire body, working your entire life to get to this space where I'm like, it was a dream, you know, and I had this body of a fit model, and to take judgment, the hardest thing for me to deal with, and put myself on stage to win, right, for Best Body, and then to gain it all back, and then to feel that judgment from other people. And I was like, okay, it doesn't matter. I know what to eat. I know how to transform bodies. It's not about that. How do you keep the weight off? And how do I get out of this awful cycle that is keeping me feeling this way that I hated? And that would lead me to binges and emotional eating. And it was in learning that I'm going to share with you the secrets that I learned today. And that experience is what propelled me to do the very work that I do today. So it was a blessing. It was one of those things where you're like, I can look back and say it was a blessing, but it was a hard road. And it was one that I didn't realize what emotional eating was. I didn't even know that I was an emotional eater. I just thought I'm a dieter, just like everybody else. This is what everybody does. And the truth is, it's not. And it doesn't have to be that way. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So are you excited? Because I'm super excited. So what I wanted to really get into is binges. So you guys, in my story, what I talked about was I gave you a brief overview. And what I really got from all of this is you guys all know that you can Google recipes. You guys, for healthy eating, you know, you can Google workouts and you can read about this and read about that. What I want to talk to you about tonight is why your binges happen. You're on this call for a reason. And there's a negative connotation around this term binge, right? Like, you know, oh, I'm binge eating. And you think like, oh, okay, like that movie Girl Interrupted where she's got like chicken carcasses under her bed. And if you haven't seen that movie, then I kind of, then you have to see it. But that's not what a binge is. A binge, just like anything, is considered eating in excess, eating past full, right? Just like binge drinking is drinking 3 consecutive drinks. Binge eating does not mean that you have to be sitting like hiding, you know, in your bedroom with 15 million candy wrappers and Oreo sleeves and empty pints of Ben & Jerry's. Binge eating, you can binge. I used to binge eat on healthy foods, right? Like I was like when I started, you know, I started really doing personal training and being healthy and all of that. It was a 12-year road of me being super uber healthy, diet yo-yo, this, that. And in that time, I still always thought, well, this is just what people do. All my friends dieted. People were always doing, I don't eat dinners. I don't have sugar. I don't eat carbs are evil. I don't do this. I don't do that. I calorie count everything. I just thought that's what women do, right? And then I would see us and we'd have a few cocktails and all of a sudden, instead of doing anything else, we'd all be like, pizza? What can we eat? And it was like, okay, why aren't we staying at the party? Like, why are we all leaving to go eat, right? Like you didn't see guys, I didn't have my guy friends going to do that with me. It was my girlfriends because we were all like starving ourselves or on a diet so much that the minute our guard went down, we couldn't wait to eat. And then it got into me doing that by myself, right? And so maybe I wasn't eating a pizza, but then I got into health foods and all of a sudden I'm eating like 3 protein bars in a row. First off, they don't taste that good. Although Quest made theirs a little too. There's definitely addictive things going on in those. But my point in saying this is to help you to understand that a binge is really eating in excess. That's it. The act of binge eating is to consume large amounts of food during a short period of time. Typically, the act of binging on food occurs in a private setting as a person is typically trying to hide the behavior. That's the actual definition, right? So when I started to do that by myself, and I even started to notice I would be out on a Friday night and then I'd be like, I'd rather go home and eat alone. Like there's something missing, or I'm waiting till everybody goes to bed, or my boyfriend's not home, or like, right? Like, so there are things where you're going, okay, you know inside that doesn't feel right. You know that something's going on. So I want you to take a pen and paper right now, and I want you to tell me, or not tell me, write down what brought you to the call tonight. Why are you here? Because I guarantee that the reason why you're here, there is guilt and shame around that reason. And it does not feel good. And you might have never told anybody about it. I've had many clients where their husbands have no idea that this is even something that they struggle with. Or they wait until their kids go to bed and they're eating chocolate chips from their baking pantry. Or, you know, I mean, I have clients of all different ages, and it depends on their circumstance, but it's doing anything where you are hiding wrappers in the trash. You know innately that you have a behavioral pattern going on that is not healthy. and it's not serving you. What it's actually doing is keeping you stuck in your life. It's keeping you playing small. So there's actually this great, and then I want to get into the mindful eating tips in that portion. But there is a great book, and I'm actually going to show you that you might say like, okay, what does this have to do with eating? But everything that I'm always reading and doing and relates back, because you guys, your weight impacts every area of your life. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Your eating patterns, I guarantee, are very similar to the way you are with money, very similar to the way you are with commitment, very similar to the way you are in life with relationships, with your heart, romantically, right? So for instance, with me, I was doing a lot of my emotional eating when I was trying to fill a void because I was lonely. I was in New York City and I had a lot of friends, and then I'll get to what I was going to tell you. I have a lot of friends that had moved away and transitioned on and done other things, and I felt this pull to really grow and start my own business. But I was petrified. I had worked my butt off in the fashion industry, self-taught, fashion, marketing, design, all of that, right? And I really had created a nice job for myself. I worked at a great company. I was sent around the world. They didn't question anything. I built my own business within their business. It was incredible. I had got a lot of stuff for free. I had an expense account. And I liked the company. And I knew my job inside and out. It was fun. It was creative. I love design. I love all things fashion. And yet I felt this innate pull to do something else with my life, and I wasn't doing it. So I wasn't living up to my potential. So what was I doing? Instead, I was eating. I was unfulfilled. So I filled that void. So I want you to think about, right? And this is going to parlay into everything we're doing here tonight. Write down right now, what is an area in your life where you are holding yourself back and playing small? Are you not being honest in relationships? Are you not asking for that raise? Are you not even dating because you're waiting until you lose weight, or quote unquote, you need to be fixed, right? We get caught up in this self-help world, in this, especially as females, that there's something wrong with us, that until we get fixed, we can't date, we can't do things in life. I can't buy that outfit I've always wanted until I lose the weight. I can't meet guys. I need to work on me first, and then I can open my life up to that. The person you're meant to be with will meet you where you're at and love you where you end up. They will grow with you there, right? The job, that's a value thing. That's you, not you. So I'm going to go through with you how these all intertwine. But what I want you to do is write down, where are you not showing up? Where are you playing small? Maybe it's multiple areas. For me, I was playing small with, I was lonely. There was a void not only in my heart, but there was a void in my happiness in life, like feeling fulfilled, having my purpose, living to my potential. I wasn't doing that. So how can I call in somebody when I'm not living to my potential? How can I call in a good quality man? Do you know what I'm saying? So, and how can I, if I'm not valuing me enough to do those things and to step up, how can I get the same value, right, in my job, right? So it all goes in. So write down that void. So right now what you've done so far is you've written down your why are you here and the void, and maybe there's many. So there's something interesting and that we're going to go into. Actually, I'm going to save that until the end because we're going to go in order. I get a little too excited, and then I want to take you guys like all over the place and be like, but we're going to keep you in my ADD container and go through my list here. So mindful eating, you guys, this is one of those things. And I know everyone goes, okay, mindful eating, I get it, you know, we're all this, that. Mindful eating, the three things that I want you guys to get: pay attention to your patterns, where you eat, when you eat, and what you're eating. How fast are you eating? Are you present, or are you watching TV? Are you on Facebook? Right? Are you sitting there are you looking forward to that meal? Is dinner time your favorite meal? Why is that? Are you eating or at lunch? Are you actually focused on your lunch? Are you taking a break? Are you doing work while you're eating? Right? Are you really slowing down? What happens when we're eating food and not being mindful? The three biggest things I see are not being present to your experience, and not being present to people or to your meal. Meaning, we're eating, it's 3 bites, we take a bite and then we chew 3 times, we swallow, and we're shoveling in the next one before we've even swallowed the food. Yogis chew 40 times the amount until it's in a liquefied state. Why do they do this? They do this for mindfulness. I'm not saying to be a yogi, because it's insanity a little bit about the 40 times. You'll go nuts. It will also take you about 4 hours to finish your lunch or your dinner. And we need, we got lives to live, living to do. You know what I'm saying? But the whole point about it is you're bringing food into a liquefied state for digestion. It's also that mind-body connection to where you can really taste and smell your food. So it's sight, smell, mindfulness, right? You're smelling it before it's going in, and while you're chewing it, you're seeing it before it goes in your mouth, right? And then you're tasting it, and the texture is going to change throughout your mouth so that you're having a full experience before you swallow. So take notice when you eat your next meal. First off, are you distracted? Are you eating while standing? Are you eating most of your meal while cooking it and prepping it, right? And then you're sitting down for a whole nother meal when you're already full, right? Are you smelling the food? Are you really tasting it? Or are you wolfing it down, and within 10 minutes, the 45 minutes of prep time and cooking time is done, and you just wolfed it down in 10 minutes, and then you're sitting there, right? So really be in that space, being present. I tell people this all the time, especially when you're in social situations. You guys, it is so empowering to take a bite and put your fork down and just watch other people. First off, it makes people really uncomfortable. And it's funny because it also makes them aware of the fact that they are literally shoveling food in or sipping wine and then going right for another bite and just waiting and passing. When you actually sit back, you allow yourself to register the connection with your body. This is all about, number one, mindful eating. Why I have this on here is number one, and I said mindful eating. It's about mind-body connection. My private clients know this. They get their success from me. One of the biggest things that I hold them to is mind-body connection. If you do not have a relationship with yourself, you do not have a relationship, period. And you're not going to have positive relationships with people around you and those in your life. Because until you start to value and honor you, it's really hard for others to do the same, for that to be consistent, and for you to have what you want in life. Right? Without always future tripping, living in the past, or resenting. Okay? So dating you needs to be the number one thing that you do. A great thing to do if you really want to practice mindful eating is take yourself out to a beautiful dinner. Sit, enjoy, smell, be present, slow down, taste, put your fork down in between bites, and have a beautiful experience, or invite a friend to do it with you, but be present. This is not about watching TV or being on social media or doing anything else. It's about you and your meal, okay? So the 3 powerful keys to mindful eating: stay connected, be present, put your fork down, no distractions, right? And slow down, slow your roll, chew your food, taste it, be in the experience, okay? Also, too, the biggest thing from that, another big piece that I really want you to get with banishing binges, when you eat super fast and you're just chewing and not really, your mind is not connecting with your body. It's not registering that you just sat and had this great meal. So that's why when people are like protein bars and this and that, eat something. Take your time with it, right? Slow down so that your mind can register and feel satisfied. It also allows you to tune into what are you hungry for? Not what your mind thinks you should eat, not, interval fasting, right? Not I shouldn't have carbs or no more protein right now, or I said I shouldn't have fructose because of this. What are you hungry for? Listen to yourself, date yourself, stay connected. Next up, all or nothing mentality. This is huge when it comes to binges and when it comes to overeating. So I just want to clarify again. A binge is when you're eating it a lot in a short period of time, basically eating in excess. Emotional eating is when you're eating not from hunger, but due to your emotional circumstance, right? Now, that's always going to happen. I tell my clients this too, and what they get is, people always ask me, they go, how did you get over emotional eating? It is just like being addicted to alcohol or, shopping too much, or, anything. You don't get over it completely. Emotional eating is a part of being human, right? There can be people that have never had any weight struggles and they still, can have a bad day and be like, oh, I'll go eat something. That's a part of emotional eating. We're breastfed when we're born. And if you're not breastfed, then you're given a bottle, but either way, you're given a sweet substance by someone that loves you. Depending on what culture you're in, I'm Italian and Irish. We eat and drink for everything. Are you sad? Eat. Are you happy? Eat. Did you get a job? Did you get a raise? Eat. Did you just get divorced? Eat something. That's just, are you full? Eat some more. It just keeps going. So, but it also represented for me a ton of happy times, which is something we're going to talk about. So I really want you to get that emotional eating. When I first realized, and I was telling you guys, in my story, I will never forget, I sat, oh my God, okay. I went out the night before and I was also drinking too much at this time too. And it was one of those where I realized, I'm like, wow, I'm drinking more than I need to, right? Like, I'm not like a big drinker, but I'm clearly like, I'm not having as much fun when I'm going out. And my answer was, maybe I need to drink more. But what the truth was, I was outgrowing the go out scene. And I wasn't attached at the time. And a lot of my friends had moved away or gotten married. And I'm in New York. And I hate to say it, I don't live in New York anymore. But, a big part of the New York culture is restaurants, going out to eat and drinking, socializing, being social, clubs, this, that. So I'm out and I was like, so I just started going, okay, well, maybe I need to drink more because all my other friends are having a ton of fun still. I didn't know. I wasn't objective enough. Like, I wasn't in that space to be able to see. So I was drinking too much. So I would come home and something would switch and I'd be like, okay, you know what? I'd rather just be home and eat something. And since I was always depriving during the week, then what seemed really fun and pleasurable to me was I'm going to go and get a bunch of food at the random bodega on the way home to my house. And I would buy like healthy stuff, right? Like I would buy my God, what is this ice cream? It's called like Arctic Zero or something, and like no calories. Okay, obviously there's calories, but oh my God, no, I think it has like 150 calories for the entire pint. And it's essentially like all chemicals in a thing, right? And it was like GMO free and all this stuff. Don't go out and buy it. But it's not bad. But so my point was though, I buy a pint of that and then I'd get like a healthier candy, for instance. And then I'd get like 100-calorie brownie and just, you know, like pop chips, like things that weren't as filled with calories, but are still considered like diet junk foods, right? And I'd go home and I'd eat it all. So I remember this one time in my apartment, and this was like, what was this, like 4 years ago or so? And maybe 5 years? Wait, is it 5? I think this was 5 years ago. My God, where's the time gone? Okay, so this was 5 years ago, and I woke up in the morning, and I literally sat and I couldn't get over it. I'm like recalling it like it was yesterday right now. Okay, so it makes me really sad. So I woke up in disgust. Like I felt so full. You know, like I woke up disgustingly full. And I walked out into my family room in my apartment. Okay, and by family room in my New York City apartment, it was tiny, right? So family room's really like an extension off of my bedroom. And I walked out and saw wrappers and crumbs. And I just got this feeling of just pure disgust. Like I was so disgusted with myself because I had actually gone out that night and was like, you are not eating, you are not doing this. And as you know, or if you don't know, I'm going to tell you because this is something that I say all the time, your subconscious mind, right? And this is why I started incorporating hypnotherapy into my work. Our subconscious mind stopped forming after the age of 8, which means any limiting beliefs, anything that you tell yourself from age 8 and earlier is actually what are the limiting beliefs that you have with you as an adult. Also in your subconscious mind, that's why it's like we're all literally like 8-year-olds running around. That's why like you'll be hit at the weirdest times with things. It will be so odd and you'll be like, how is that bothering me? And why am I acting like this? And it all can go back to your childhood, which is why I'm always like, we have to get to the root, right? So what I was going to tell you about the subconscious is your subconscious mind does not understand the word no. So when you say, I'm not going to have cake, when you say, I'm not going to eat tonight, I'm not going to eat late night, that was always my thing. I'm not going to eat late night. You're going to eat late night. Your subconscious mind does not understand no. That's why when you go to a party, you're like, I'm not going to eat cake. And it's like your body's on autopilot and you're beelining it for cake the minute you walk in. And you're like, didn't I just tell myself I wasn't going to eat cake? And then you're standing in front of it, cutting a slab, putting it on a plate. And you're like, I don't want this. I just said I wasn't going to eat this. And then the fork goes into your mouth and you're like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden one piece down and you're circling the table again. Yeah, that's your subconscious mind. It does not understand no, right? That's why it's great to do the suggestive. That's why mantras, affirmations, meditation, when you can get into the subconscious, and that's why the hypnotherapy. I'm getting off topic. My point though is I said to myself, I'm not going to do this. And I stood in my family room being like, what is going on? How did I do this? How did I get here again? And I sat in my chair to do my morning practice and I wrote in my diary and I was like, I am literally disgusted with myself. How did I do this again? What can I do? Oh my God, I feel so sick. What is wrong with me? Tears were streaming and just falling on the pages of my journal. And I really felt like something was wrong with me. I pulled out this Marianne Williamson book. It's called The 21 Spiritual Lessons to Weight Loss. And this book was a book that changed my life. And she's a mentor of mine. And if you guys don't know who she is, please get to know her. Get to know her well. She is as a beautiful soul. And she's so, she will just open you up. So there's so many different books on so many different topics, but this one in particular is a great one if you're struggling this way. So if you're not into God, just take out the God pieces of this book and just say source or power, whatever you believe in. So I'm reading this book and she identified what an emotional eater was. And this was the first time that I was like, oh my God, I'm an emotional eater, like all this time. And I saw these patterns with my family. And I was like, this is crazy. Like I started putting together a chain of events, memories, times where I would be circling the kitchen at the holidays. I'm hiding cookies in my pockets. I'm hiding wrappers you know, growing up, and I had these like flashbacks. And I was like, I had no idea. So that's why I say, like, get back to the root. And those are different things. So I want you guys to really get, being an emotional eater is nothing to be ashamed of. We all are to a degree. There's all different things. But what this is about for you is understanding, how is this impacting you? How is it keeping you stuck? And how is it keeping you playing small? What is the life and body that you want for yourself? And why aren't you doing what you know you can to get there? What is getting in the way? That's why you're on tonight's call. And that was something that took me forever to figure out, because I didn't understand fully, and it can be a multitude of things. But what it came down to for me was fear. That's what it comes down to for hundreds of women that I've coached all over. I have studied it. I've done the psychology on it. I'm behind it. And that's how I've created the method that I teach. And that's why it's been so successful, because you have to understand why and how it's impacting you and what you are afraid of. What is keeping you small, and why are you staying there? Because you're stuck in that cycle because you're getting something from it. Hear me when I say this. Not saying the cycle feels good, but there is comfort in the discomfort of the cycle of binging and beating yourself up, and then being good, quote unquote, and then being bad, quote unquote. And there's a reason why you keep going back to it. And either you're good for a month or 3 months or 6 months, but something ends up happening that always brings you back. So going into this, here's the thing. How do you get out of that all or nothing mentality? How do you really shift outside of that? And the best way to do that is to start to allow yourself to live in the gray, to stop depriving, to get out of this good and bad mentality, to get out of this, okay, well, you know, I can only eat this and I have to work out like that. And if I don't, then I'm going to feel bad about myself. It's taking out that rigidity, that all or nothing. And no, it doesn't happen overnight. But it starts with small steps and taking it day by day and starting to allow yourself to connect. And the best way to get out of the all or nothing mentality is to get to know you, to connect to your body, to understand what makes you feel your best. It's so simple, but I guarantee it's something you're not listening to. You're still reading a book or trying to fit into somebody else's diet that worked for them, or listening to what you think you should do to get the weight off fast, or to stop binging, and saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. Today I'm starting a new day. For the next so many days, I'm not going to have this, 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 and this. And then within 4 days, you've backed out. Or by the weekend, something happens, and then you go, oh my God, I was so good all week until X. And now here I am. And that one thing derails you. And then it allows you to beat yourself down, and it allows you to stay small. So the best way to get out of the all or nothing mentality is to live in the gray and to connect with you. The next thing that I really, really want to tell you is, and listen, you guys, when I'm saying connect to you, I use the term date yourself, and I mean it. Start listening to you. You have the answers. Nobody else can tell you what you need for your body. Why I'm helpful for my clients is I call them out. I hold them accountable. I create a plan, and I support them in that. We need that accountability. I also help them to get unblocked and unstuck and to move forward. And that's why I'm putting you into action tonight. So you wrote down why you're here. Then we wrote down, what are those triggers for you? Or what are you, what are your triggers? That's next. What are you avoiding? Where are you playing small? and why? What areas of your life? So the next piece that I want you guys to get is not only the mind-body connection, but why are you stuck in these patterns? What are you getting? So now I want you to write down for me, what are your triggers that make you want to binge? What are your triggers that make you want to binge? Do you end your night, is your binge time when you're at home alone at night? Are you usually good all day? That's what I hear all the time. I'm great all day, and then I come home and I ruin it. Okay, there's a reason why. So are you stressed all day? Is it that you come home and that's the only time for you? Do you not have enough fun and joy going on in your life? That is one of the number one things that I see with women, is that they have so much to be responsible for these days. They have to be moms, they're in the workplace, they have a full-time job, then they have to come home, their wives, their good friends, their friends depend on them, their families, their families depend on them, and they give and give and give of themselves, and they are last on their list. And by the time they get to them, they're so exhausted that the only thing that they can think of that gives back to them is putting their feet up, watching Desperate Housewives. Desperate Housewives? I don't know, one of those shows on Bravo, whatever it is. And eating chocolate, eating anything, just eating at night and doing that, because it's that is when they actually feel like they can be like, ah, I can breathe. So I want you guys to really get, what is your trigger? Do you eat when you're stressed? Is it from anxiety? If it is, I want to ask you, what do you want to chew on in life? Why do you feel the need to chew? Why are you going for pretzels and nuts and popcorn, right? Or are you going for creamy and sweet and savory? Are you going for ice cream? Are you going for cheeses? Are you going for cakes, puddings, right? Mousse. What are you going for? If you're going for those, I want to ask you, are you unfulfilled? Is there a void? Is there a void in your heart? Are you unfulfilled in your life by yourself? Are you unfulfilled in your relationships? What void are you trying to fill with? How is that food soothing the ache in your heart? And the anxiety and the stress, right? That's a head. That's coming from your head. That's something that I characterize as a head craving, right? And that's what spurs on the binge. So are you stressed out? Are you overly anxious? Are you overwhelmed? What's going on for you? It's really important for us to identify, because when we understand what the underlying issue is, then we can change it. But until we do that, we stay stuck, because we're not actually dealing with the issue at hand. We're putting a Band-Aid over it. And your Band-Aid is food, and it's this cycle. And it's this cycle that's keeping you stuck, because if you break the cycle, you're afraid of the unknown. But the unknown is your freedom. And I want to invite you to step into that. Okay? So just to recap what we covered here tonight. You heard a lot about my story, which I told you would hear tonight. And I can go into more detail if you guys are interested. However, I think I gave you enough. I think I talked about it a lot, actually. I wanted to make sure that I gave you enough. So we identified what a binge is. We identified what emotional eating is, right? We identified the guilt and shame that can come with those, but also to understand that there needs to be no guilt or shame, and honoring where you are tonight. The 3 powerful keys to mindful eating is being present, being connected, mind and body, and really thoroughly experiencing, chewing and tasting your food, and allowing for that mind-body connection, right? Shifting your mindset from the all or nothing mentality is living in the gray. It's getting out of the rigidity. And what that comes down to is trusting yourself and your body, to no longer outsource approval from others and what you read in a magazine or in a book, but in trusting you. The success my clients have had and why I've had so much success is because they reconnect themselves. And in reconnecting to you, you have an internal compass that will lead you towards your ideal weight if you listen, right? We talked about how to stop or to discover why you're in this pattern, right? So this pattern, and we're going to get to the last one with beating yourself up, discover why you're stuck in this pattern is understand your triggers and understand what's missing to identify what's going on in your life, right? Next, and this is something that I want to tell you in the beginning of the call, which is how to stop beating yourself up after overeating. And the biggest thing that I want to tell you guys is it starts with compassion and empathy. And so there was this saying, so a book that I love, and this is just for success and especially for entrepreneurs, but just wanting to play a bigger game in life, is Turning Pro. It's a great book. And in the very beginning, he says, The Daily Show reported recently that scientists in Japan had invented a robot that is capable of recognizing its own reflection in a mirror. And what he wrote in here is, when the robot learns to hate what it sees, said Jon Stewart of The Daily Show, it will have achieved full humanity. Meaning it's through humanity that we don't like what we see, that we actually experience our own lack of compassion and empathy. And that is the biggest thing that I see when it comes to dieters and the dieters mentality and emotional eating and binging and food obsession and calorie counting and yo-yo dieting. All of that comes from a lack of compassion and empathy. So when you go to beat yourself up, stop. Show yourself love and compassion, because there's a reason why you created this pattern. And at one point in time, it saved you from feeling a lot of pain. The reason why you're on this call tonight is because that pattern's no longer serving you. It does not work for you. And now that pattern is hurting you more than it's helping you, which is why you're on tonight's call. And that's the very reason why I want to invite you and why I'm offering you a body breakthrough session as a gift from tonight's call. I said this call is really near and dear to my heart. And what I want to give you is this. You get a 30-minute call with me where I'm actually going to, you bring to the call what you did on tonight's call, why you were on the call, right? Because if I'm going to sit and take 30 minutes of my time, this is my mission in life, is to light a light in you. And when I light that light in you, you're going to light that light in another woman. And we're going to light this world with empowered women that are excited, that love their bodies, and shine bright in life. Because you deserve to have a body and life that you love and that you are so proud of. And you deserve to break free from this. And I'm telling you, it is beautiful on the other side. And I want you there. I'm here to help you do that. So if you are serious about getting help and taking this to the next step, I am known for getting you unblocked and on your way. It is a gift. I have been given that gift. I think that's why I had to struggle as much as I did in my life with this. And that is now a gift that I'm able to impart on other women. And I'm offering that to you, complimentary, for being on this call. I've only opened up, I only have a limited number this week. I really do. So I'm hoping, act fast. It's going to come on a first come, first serve basis. You will receive a link after this call. There's actually a link right now. Joni from my team has it in the right side corner. So, oh wow, it got very dark behind me. I should have a light on. It's like nighttime. So I just want you guys to, I want you guys to get this. It is a 30-minute session with me. Sign up. I'm going to give you an action plan. What you need to do is come to the call. with why you are on tonight's call, where in your life you are not living up to your potential, and what are your triggers? What's going on for you? Is it stress? Is it anxiety? Joni just posted the link. It's right there for you. I want to encourage you, go over and sign up. I said there's limited times. I will do what I can to open up more. That is all that I have for this week. So get a session right now while you can. Head on over there. And like I said, you come to the call with, I'm going to ask you right off the bat, why were you on a call? Oh my gosh, what areas of your life are you not living to your full potential? Okay, it can be multiple, it can be one. What are your triggers? Where do you see it showing up for you? So is it nighttime? Is it stress? Is it anxiety? Is it in the morning? Is it when you're driving? Is it, whatever it is? For me, it was always at night. And the weekends were like, that was my thing. Yeah. And it usually came from alcohol. And if it didn't, then it was just my thing. And then when it wasn't and I was just hiding, it was on health foods. And it was really just me being home alone. And I looked forward to watching television and putting my feet up. And all of a sudden I have eaten like 3 protein bars. So weird things, right? It doesn't have to be, again, that you ate like a box of Snickers. It's when it's you eating in excess and having shame around it. I don't care if it's healthy, foods or what have you. If it's making you feel guilt and shame and you know it's keeping you stuck and playing small, then it's not healthy, it's not helping you, it's not serving you. Head on over, get the link. I will help you and give you an action plan and get you unstuck. That is my promise to you. All right. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We're doing another Healthy Happy Hour August 3rd. It's called Empowered Eating. And I'm going to be teaching you all the tips and tricks for eating out, socializing, being an empowered, excited state around weight loss, and what empowered eating really means for getting the pounds off and keeping them there. So sign up. You can go to the website, melissacatherine.com, and a new link is posted. And come with questions. I love questions. So we'll be doing Q&A on the next one. Thank you so much. I had a blast. And clearly it's nighttime. So I'm going to go and settle down for the evening. Thank you for being here. It was an honor. Good night.